welcome to week 4 for EDT 520. This week is an asynchronous week, so we will not be meeting on Wednesday on WebEx. So you will just be working through this material on your own this week. It is basically a continuation of week 2, where we started looking at Scratch. There will be a couple of areas of programming that you'll take a look at tonight, sort of adding to your knowledge of how the various programming blocks work. And that will then wrap up with another mini project that you will be completing like you did with the first mini project. So I'm just going to overview really quickly the week, although I actually just kind of overviewed the work for the week. But just to get into a little more detail. So so in terms of this week, in terms of Scratch, it's sort of 2 areas that we're going to look at. How stuff moves. So this is all about getting sprites to move about on the screen and spin and do all those sorts of fun things. And then we're going to get into some control aspects. And this will be the first area where we're really getting into scripting that is not so much sort of immediately visible on the screen. Like, we can all understand if a script says move this sprite here, it will move that sprite to that location. Getting into the control aspects, this starts to get a little bit more into the programming side of things, but they are important in order to get your programs to do what they need to do. So as we did last time, there is a sort of a can you list for each of these. So in terms of the motion blocks, it basically has to do with location and rotation. Nice little rhyming going on there. And it'll just walk you through the various blocks that have to do with moving sprites around, and then the various blocks that have to do with how to spin or rotate a sprite. So just explore each one of those. I've got links here to each of the blocks that, or the informational pages about each of the blocks on the Scratch website. And then the second piece of it, as I said, gets into the control blocks and a little bit into sensing blocks. There are more sensing blocks that we will take a look at down the road, but we'll include a couple of those in now. But with the control blocks, these are about looping. So anytime that you want a particular script to do something a number of times, over and over. So say you want a sprite to, walk across the screen, you may want it to loop back and forth between two costumes as it moves across the screen. So that's sort of a series of scripts that you want to have happen a certain number of times. There are conditionals, and these are all if-then statements. So these will evaluate a particular state, if this is here, or if this equals that, or if the user does this, then, and then it will do the script on the other side. So it's all about setting up true-false situations and then having the program do one thing if the result is true, and potentially having it do something else if it's false. That's a if-then statement. So again, it walks through, gives you some information, a couple of blocks about stopping, and then the sensing blocks, this starts to get into kind of an extension of the user input, but rather now than just if a key is pressed, you can actually embed things into some of these loops so that it's continuously checking to see if something has happened. Either that the user has done something, or you can also have it based off of the sprites interacting with each other. So there's a test for if 2 sprites run into each other, then do something. So we'll take a look at a few of those sensing blocks. So again, just work through. There will be a video on each of these pages that will walk through each of these things. I'll demonstrate them in Scratch, so you'll have a chance to see those as well. And then that will all finish up with the second Scratch mini project. There are fewer steps in this project, but the coding gets a little bit more detailed. So that's kind of the trade-off. You'll be creating 3 sprites, just like you did in the first one, and then adding a set of instructions to each of those 3 sprites that will have it do certain things when certain things happen. So you complete that, you save it, you share it to the mini project in the studio in our classroom in Scratch. And then just so that I have the ability to sort of score the projects on a rubric and provide feedback, like you did with Mini Project 1, you will go to the upload, and all you're going to do is click on the right submission, and you will then paste in the URL for the published version of your project, not inside the editor, but when you get to the main project page where users can click on it and make it work, paste that URL in so that I have something to look at, and then allows me to use the rubric to score those. And that's really it for this week. I'm not adding any additional work this week. There's no discussion forums or anything like that. Just focus on working through this. In terms of the game projects, continue to have those discussions if you're in a group or working through it on your own in terms of narrowing down your game topic. Fill in the information on that wiki page and fill in the analysis questions on the instructional design part of that project so that next week when we start talking about the different types of games and how to create a flowchart for a game and how to develop the rules for a game, you've got your topic selected and you kind of know what direction you're going in. Also, again, just work from previous. If you haven't yet contributed to the forum from week 3, that sort of glossary of research articles about gaming, just make sure that you've gotten that put in as well. So mostly just making sure you're caught up on previous work and just working through the 2 lessons for Scratch and completing the mini project. And again, the mini project technically won't be due for 2 weeks when we get to mini project 3 and our next thing. All right, that is basically the overview for the week. So good luck and let me know if I can help.